talked about these things. He called them synchronicities. I call them God wink moments. One reason Sam Davis Home matters to me, and get your tissues out. This is a sad story. Roger's probably heard it. And Terica, have you heard this story?
I've heard it before.
Have you really?
Yes.
No, you have not. Anyways, when I was in the
Pretty
fourth,
spooky.
when I was, there is such thing as childhood trauma. I probably have had some childhood trauma, but when I was in the fourth grade, I was the only kid that didn't get to go to Sam Davis Home. Now, don't start crying now. And my wife says I shouldn't tell the story, but anyways, I was the only kid in fourth grade. I just didn't have the $5. My mom could have got the $5, but I didn't want to bother. She was raising, I guess, 5 of us at home, and money was tight. Like a lot of families back then. And what was so bad, you didn't just sit in a room by yourself. The whole school pretty much seen you, because there wasn't. David Jury has 3 walls, and there's like one whole area, and they're going to the bathroom. They're looking over at me. The teachers, what are you doing here? I'm like, well, I don't have the $5. They're all having a great time at Sam Davis Home partying, and I'm stuck in that classroom all day long. That's always played on me. But here's where God had a plan, because I think the Lord will have you go through pain, to feel pain, so you have compassion for other folks and what their plights are, because we've all going through something right now. But what had happened, I think I was arguing with school board members or something. There was something going on that was contentious, and Emily Mitchell had reached out to me at David Jury. She said, come on over here at the school. I bet your name's carved in the desk up here. I just thought it was really cute, and I thought, oh, okay, so I'll go up there at the school. And that's how I knew about the black church being locked out, because I talked to the janitor, Sammy Sanderford, at Word of Life in Laverne. I said, where you go to church at? He goes, well, we're locked out right now. I'm thinking, locked out? I'm thinking he's got something wrong with him.
Right.
And he grew up during segregation, and he'd play football for Holloway. And I said, well, how did you get a ride from Murfreesboro back to Laverne? He said, people would give you rides. You thumb it, they'd give you a ride. And so I go back. She takes me to my same exact classroom I was in the 4th grade. I can remember distinctly where it was at. I'm not going to say the teacher's name, who let me sit there all day long. And so I was there. She took me to the same classroom. I'm sitting there watching the teacher interact with the students, and I'm thinking about my own childhood in the 4th grade. It's kind of ironic. I'm in the same classroom, and but what was cool, I was this guest speaker on the 105th anniversary of Sam Davis Home at the state capitol.
Wow.
The next morning, so my wife's like, I wouldn't tell nobody that story. I'm like, I'm telling the whole dang world about this. This is it's pretty cool. But that's why I've cared about Sam Davis Home. But Roger, you got your ghost tours going on, right?
Right.
How's that coming along?
Oh, really, really good 2 nights last night. I think maybe because schools were out or whatever. But that's the best opening nights we've had in a long time. I mean, it was back to back, and thanks to the Key Club kids from Blackman High Schools, as some of our actors and volunteers, they did a great job.
Yeah, I produced that little video. Well, Terica helped me. With it last week. We ended the show, and we went in a little side room over here, and you and Tiffany was helping me, and I've got it on video, but I didn't know how to close it out. I'm using CapCut.
Exporting issues. Roger mentioned before we walked in that he liked it.
Oh, yeah. I knew he liked it. He was smiling. Well, he walked in the room because you posted it for me, and he walks in and is laughing because remember you were going to try to do a voiceover.
I was. I don't know how to work CapCut too well, but
what word was you going to say? Remember?
What?
The words you were going to say.
You got to watch this guy. He tried to pull you in.
Right.
You got to say, Roger.
Yeah, that's it, Mike. Do it again, Mike. What was it?
No, you do it.
Do it again.
You said you heard a woman's voice.
See, that's what he did to me last week. Okay, you remember? Yeah.
Yeah. But you did hear a voice, right?
Yeah, I heard a lady call my name out twice, and there's a lady on the other crew that heard my name called out. I said, well, why didn't you call your name out?
That's pretty wild.
Called my name out.
And how'd it go?
It's spooky. Just like you watch the video, you'll see it. Just like that video. Yeah, you pull that video up about Sam Davis Home Ghost Tours, and you will do it.
How old did the person sound, do you think? I mean, can you tell?
No, probably around 18, 20. Davis girls, about their age.
But you heard a guy say it, 2-3 weeks ago?
Yeah, I was walking in the museum, and I thought the director's son, he was there.
Yeah.
And I walked in, I heard somebody, hey, Roger. And I said, oh. And then when I came back out, I went over, I looked around for him, went over, and I went in the office and said, man, what'd you need? He goes, and I said, didn't you call my name out? And she said, no, he's been here the whole
Really?
time.
And how old did that person sound?
About 20-ish.
But same.
About 20,
And then I know we're recovering, kind of what we talked about last week. I just thought it was pretty good content. But in Jeremy, you was on your mower working for Smyrna.
Yeah.
And seen something.
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind that where he's talking about is right there by the Sam Davis home. It kind of
Yeah,
butts
I
in
can.
there. Yeah, you
it's
can see it.
I'll burn pile. I keep saying like hours, like I'm still there, but no, the
'Cause
burn pile.
you're working for the town of Smyrna golf course.
Yeah. The burn pile is literally right there. I can sit there. I can look at the barn, the old barn, and I can also see the back of Sam Davis' home. I am really hot. Is there a reason why I'm so hot?
The AC's on 68.
No, the mic. Yeah, no, we'll talk about. I'm pretty loud in my ears, but anyway.
We need to talk about that stuff at break.
Yeah.
Then we go to break.
No. It's
But the ghost tours, been successful past couple days.
Oh, yeah. And
Okay.
we have it coming up again next.
And Friday and Saturday?
I can't hear myself at all.
Yeah, Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we actually we're next Friday and Saturday from 6 to 10. The last wagon leaves out at 9 o'clock. Like I said,
Okay.
it's really cool. It's a hayride. Did you come around?
Can folks come out there and people like me that are real cheap and just watch, not spend no money?
It's called Stand by the Gate and watch.
And he's
Stand by the gate.
not joking.
Yeah,
That's
no.
the thing
I
about
am
it.
tight. I am tight.
He's still complaining about that $3 coffee or Coke
Oh
he got
no,
last
that
week
was
McDonald's.
Erica. No, we were at Barnes and Noble the other day, and I hadn't been there in like 6 years. And I said, "Can I have one of them cold coffees?" And the lady was like, "Yeah," and it was $7.
Oh, yeah.
And I
Erica would
said that's
say.
way more expensive than McDonald's coffee.
Yeah,
Oh,
I got 87 cents. But and then Marty has seen something over there, and it's but the whole month of October passed. Well, that's how I met you.
Yeah.
'Cause I went on the radio show over there.
Yeah, and there's a couple other things that happened to me too. I thought I locked some people in there. I had some guests with me, and I said, "Oh, I ain't got everybody." But you have to lock it. All those things we have in there, you have to lock it.
Lock
after
it
each
in the
tour.
home.
Yeah, because
It's
people
not-
walk in, it's not actually on
Okay.
tour.
Yeah.
And so the doorknob shook. Okay, and I thought, I tried to debunk everything that happens. I really did.
Yeah.
And I opened it up with nobody there, and so I said, probably just stuck. Went like that, probably stuck, but it sure had perfect timing.
Wow.
And then a mirror in there with me and the lady who used to work there. We were upstairs, and that mirror spun.
Oh,
and
you
we
seen
thought
it
maybe
spin?
it vibrated. We jumped up.
Is it
down.
like the kind of mirror like it
Yeah.
swivels
Well,
or not?
It swivels.
Or not like flips,
It's about
spins,
this
whatever.
size.
Yeah.
It's about size. It's a monitor. It's swivel mirror. And,
Okay, yeah.
But we had shut a door downstairs. It was a glass door. I shut it. It was open. Never been open in life since I've been there. And I shut it. Went upstairs in Sam's room, and the mirror spun and come back down. That door was open again. All this happened at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So it was.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. Pretty wild.
I'll tell you about a place that I feel like should be haunted, but somehow isn't. I mean, there's probably been like reports of stuff. Carton Plantation. I'm sure like a lot of your listeners know what Carton
Over
is.
Franklin.
Over in Franklin, yeah. How that place isn't haunted, I'm not entirely
Marty,
sure.
If Marty's listening, I
Yeah.
think he's got some kind of a
Yeah.
story or
Oh,
something.
Because during the Battle of Franklin, I mean, the family there, I can't remember who the family was, but they woke up and the Confederate Army is marching right towards their backyard, and over the course of the battle, Union, Confederate soldiers, dead or dying, sitting at every part of their house, and
Yeah.
there's
I
still
think
blood there
Marty-
too. Yeah,
I think Marty's got. I think he's got something on that. But here in just in a couple of minutes, we're going to be talking about Mel Malone home over in Cemetery Community. Folks know what the Cemetery Community is. It's right there by the battlefield, Ebenezer Church, across from Gravel Pit and near Travis Courts. And back on Sam Davis' home, you were saying.
Well, this is just I'm getting ready to turn the mic over to the lady out here.
Edith's sister.
Yeah, Edith's sister. But it's a little announcement. We have the old Jefferson School a reunion this Saturday from 1 to 4.
Yeah.
Anybody attended the old Jefferson School, if you know anything about it, 2 classes in a room, and we got one student, ex-student, he's 95. He's going to be there.
Yeah.
Mr. Jones.
Mr.
He actually
Jones.
drove himself here to the radio show.
Oh,
He came
wow.
right upstairs. Yeah.
He's one of
You
he
was
owned
here when you.
he owned part of
Oh, was that him?
Yeah, it was him.
Oh, okay.
He owned part of Hickory Hollow Mall.
Yeah, owned
and sold
that
it.
and all kind of stuff. You know, man, I thought he's my best friend now.
Oh, just a great guy. I mean, really,
he really is a good guy. And
So Saturday,
yeah, Saturday from 1 to 4, and it's at the Davenport Farm on Enid Springs Road. If you went to Old Jefferson, love to see you there. I think they had 125 the last one.
okay. And what is it on? Rock Springs?
Rock Springs
Rock
Road.
Springs Road. Okay.
Yeah, what I call it, Enid Springs.
Enid Springs.
Enid Springs,
Rock Springs, yeah.
Well, you get lost in Smyrna. It was a inside joke. you know.
Man, I'm going to talk about the hats, so don't break it up.
What was it?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, we'll get into all that stuff, you know.
Okay.
Walking to work and everything. Terica's going to help me with that. But, before we segue over to Edith and her sister, Jeremy, anything you want to say about Sam Davis' home, the hauntings?
Well, I've been there before. We toured it when I was little. Didn't experience anything then, but we were there. My RTC cadre, our senior class, we were let fours. We were officers and senior NCOs and whatnot. But anyway, we were there working a helping like some sort of like volunteer day. There, they also had a field trip there. So what we were there to do was just like guide people to parking and everything in the backfield, you know, and then just doing general like just upkeep, and then we were just in and out of the house just every so often. Can't remember if there was anything spooky happening at that time, because I mean I feel like with the amount of people that were there, I feel like there wasn't a lot to manifest in a sense, you know. But no, I mean the experience that I've ever had at Sam Davis home, I haven't experienced any sort of spooky stuff. But you know,
Well, we've got Marty.
How did it sound? What was that again?
Well, Marty. I was over at Marty's a few months ago, and the young man that he has helped was standing there, and I was just cutting up with him, and I said, "You see anything in this house?" He said, "Yeah, man. I woke up at 3. It was about 3 in the morning." He said, "There's a man standing right there in front of me." I was like, "Really?" He said, "Looked like he described it as a soldier, but it had I thought he said a green glow to it, and he had and he said he took and went and jumped into bed with Marty, and because he didn't want to be out there by himself. I said, "Dude, I'd have took my chances with a ghost. I ain't jumping in no bed with that dude," and that'd be really scary. But anyways, the guy was young guy was real serious, you know, and because I think I did that little video about his house, and he said he's had 2 or 3 paranormal groups call and want to come by there. But that old area where he's at, Cane Ridge, that goes way back, you know. That's a part of the old Hickory Boulevard, you know. Well, Edith's calling my cell. She's supposed to call WGNS. You want to tell her?
Yeah.
All right. Why don't you take a
text
call? And folks, let's take a quick break. And we come back, we got a cool story with Edith Moore and Cemetery Community. All right, we'll be right back.
My wife and I enjoy going by Yard Sale Inc. We usually go to both locations, the one in Smyrna as well as the one in Murfreesboro. A lot of times on Saturday mornings we stop by, and their inventory changes weekly, so you never know what you're going to see, and it's mostly open box. The name fits it. It's exactly that. It's a yard sale. If you don't totally agree with the price, the staff is always friendly and nice and willing to work with you.
That's the Yard Sale Store in Smyrna at 111 Enid Springs Road West, and Murfreesboro at 204 South Front Street, and online at bestdealintown.com.
Have you seen traditional chiropractors or various medical providers but have not found relief?
Dr. Austin Schumann with Horizon Spinal Care.
Experience the difference at Horizon Spinal Care, the only NUCA chiropractor in Middle Tennessee. No twisting, popping, or cracking. A gentle touch and controlled contact on the first vertebra of the neck is designed to restore balance to the entire spine. Call Horizon Spinal Care today at 615-203-5111. Visit us online at horizonspinalcare.com.
When I say VFW, you probably have some visions of a smoke-filled bar with a bunch of old-timers eyeballing you. Well, the Stones River VFW is doing things different. No smoke-filled rooms, no turning prospective members away, and a strong emphasis on camaraderie and community. We believe in instilling our American values in our young people through numerous programs such as Voice of Democracy, Patriots Pen, Scout of the Year, and VFW Teacher of the Year. Stones River Post intends on becoming a driving force to help, aid, and assist wartime veterans. So if you're one of those veterans with a campaign medal and you want that sense of purpose that you've been missing, then give our recruiter Andrew Farr a call at 615-490-5715.
Hey, I'm Floyd, and I'm inviting you to join me at CR. That's Celebrate Recovery. We meet at Family Worship Center, 3045 Memorial Boulevard on Sunday at 6 p.m. We're a 12-step Christ-centered program that offers help for all the hurts, habits, and hang-ups that's causing you pain. The program works if you work it, and I'm proof. For other CR groups, go to celebraterecovery.com and click on the group finder. Hope to see you soon.
Hi, this is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
Josh Moss with Affordable Heating and Cooling provides residential HVAC and duct cleaning services to the Middle Tennessee area. With more than 20 years of experience, Josh Moss and the AHC team provide 24/7 service and take care to ensure whatever work you need done is done in a professional, timely manner. Contact AHC at 615-745-1676. That's 615-745-1676. Or go to their website at affordableheatingandcoolingtn.com.
All right, we're back. Conversation Mike Sparks talking about cemetery community. A lot of folks may not know what cemetery community was, but going back to weird coincidences, I call them God wink moments. Terica Black, a young journalism student with a graduate degree, I happened to see her 3 weeks ago.
3-4 weeks ago now.
I just was walking, leaving the Mike Pence event, and Pence done a great job, and I seen you over there. And I thought, I assumed you were a journalist student because you had the camera.
Right. We recognized each other.
Yeah.
We didn't know where from, though.
I walked over, and what was strange, she had interviewed me about this house. Mm-hmm. It's very coincidental.
Yep.
Isn't it?
Cemetery community. I did a story for MTSU in 2020.
Yeah.
So it was about 4 years ago.
I mean, what's the probability of that?
Right.
Me and you just run across. Because I've been wanting to help Edith and her family, but just so much I can do. I mean, I can't. It's just hard to do something by yourself. Frank Caperton's passed away, and Bo Washington's passed. Dr. George Smith's passed, and if those folks were still here, they would be very passionate. So really, like with Terica, the baton's kind of being passed on to you. You're from Memphis, but you don't want to go back, correct?
I don't. I would rather not.
Well, tell we talk about. We're so fortunate to live here in Rutherford County, and I was born and raised in Smyrna, but you were telling me it's like Marvin that worked for me. Marvin didn't want to go back to Memphis. He just mysteriously reached out to me, and he came up here to the station. I said, "Come in, and hang out with me." And he opens up a newspaper and he shows it to some folks, and the front page of the paper was Marvin said why I voted for Donald Trump. It was TSU newspaper front page. What's the odds of a young African American just texting me asking for advice? And I said, well, I guess you're going to go back to Memphis. He said, no, I want to stay here in Rutherford County. So just come in and hang out with me. Young man knocked on 4,000 doors. Everybody loved him. I mean, they still love him today. Everybody's asking, how's Marvin doing? How's Marvin doing? My own father asked me today how Marvin's doing. He's officer of the courts, works for officer of the courts, going to law school. But you don't go back to Memphis, and you're sharing a story about one of the TV reporters having his equipment.
Yeah.
Tell that story.
Some time ago, one of the Fox 13 TV reporters, he's an anchor as well, he was out shooting a story, and some of his equipment got stolen.
Isn't that
while
sad?
He was doing a story, and it's just so sad. It really needs to have some more awareness being brought about it. But there's plenty of reasons why I really don't want to go back.
Yeah.
I love Rutherford County, Murfreesboro, Nashville area. So.
Well, you're a lovely soul. You're going to be looking for a job.
Oh, yeah.
I plan on getting you hired at Nashville with our caucus because we need some diversity.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't have hardly any. I shouldn't say that, okay? We had it with
It's
Marvin,
true.
He's not there. But God's going to use you. You're a strong believer, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
You need to meet. Have you met Angela? Yeah, you know Angela.
Who works here?
That comes up to the show.
We had a long conversation last Sunday.
And then Tiffany is going to be leaving. I'm hoping you're
Sadly.
gonna. I'm hoping you're gonna be joining WGNS.
Yeah, I might. I don't want to spoil it, so we'll just wait.
Well,
but
another weird coincidence. I brought you to Nashville today,
Mm-hmm.
and just to say hello to a few people, and then you met.
I met one of my
Michaela.
sorors. So
Yeah.
I'm a part of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and we
Yeah.
call each other sorors. It basically means sister.
Well, but what's the odds of that?
Right.
You know how she got hired? She got hired by WGNS. I had her on the radio, and the guy it was the main protester at MTSU. Me and him become friends, and then he ran for office and lost, and I was able to get the guy that won, that he lost, that beat the young man, to hire his campaign manager, which is Michaela, and she's another sweet soul. So
she is.
that's pretty coincidental, you know. I invited my probability statistics professor to come on the radio with me and figure out these. He said, "Mike, you can't, man." He even said, "Mike, there's just so things that are just beyond normal." But I'm hoping Edith is on the call. Is she on? She on there?
She hasn't called in.
She hadn't called in. Well, Edith, if you're listening, call in. Well, we got Edith's sister with us. How you doing, man?
I'm fine, thank you.
Doing good. Have you ever been on the radio before?
No.
You're kind of nervous, ain't you?
Yes.
I tell you, nervous, son. So you grew up. Hopefully, he's going to call in. So you were born and raised right there at that old house on Nashville Highway.
Yes, I was born and raised in cemetery. Proud of it. Proud to be a cemeterian.
Yeah.
72 years ago, I was born. Matter of fact, I was born in our house. At that time, it was Route 2.
Route 2, Murfreesboro.
Yep, Route 2, box 188A was our old address. And now we have 3944, if I remember correctly. But just a beautiful place to be. All the memories that I have got me to where I am today. All the people, the community people, like Mr. Sparks was just saying, was that we all were just family. It was just like one large family. If you had whatever, eggs, milk, or a babysitter or whatever, you got it out of the community. You didn't have to go outside to do anything. And it's just a blessing, and it's a beauty to have so many people to wanting to help with this project.
So Travis Courts was already built, or was built after?
No,
y'all
Mr.
lived
Tudor
there?
Travis's court was already there.
It was already there.
established.
So that was like a little motel.
It was a motel, yes, sir.
You remember how many units were there? Little housing units?
I would say about 12.
Was it? Mm-hmm. And was the store there? Because I remember the store as a little boy.
Now, we had a store up the road where I think it's called Yesteryear.
Oh, that was the store?
That was our store.
Yeah, okay.
That
I remember
that was
a
our little
store
grocery store.
at Travis Courts.
Now, Travis Courts had a little tavern.
Was that
It
all right?
wasn't really a
So that got
grocery store.
well. I remember going by there.
Okay.
All the kids would go buy beer there.
Oh yes.
I
yes.
did. And I just happened to be with
Yes.
kids that
Oh, yes.
buy the beer, and we were like 12 or 14. I mean, it was ridiculous back then. But I think Roger Thomas visited a whole lot when he was younger. But I remember that being a store. And you just sold like candy bars and cold drinks.
Well,
and
we
all.
really weren't allowed to go over there. Our mother wouldn't let us go there because of the alcohol and things that they had, and the shenanigans that they had going on over there and stuff. But the only store we could go to was up the road, and
yeah, like that. That's good. Now, is Edith on the call? Okay. Hey, let's go to Edith. Edith, you there?
Right. I can tell you about Travis Courts, too.
Tell us about it.
Mr. Tudor Travis got in trouble one time for selling beer to y'all. But
Well, I didn't buy it, just for the record. It was my friends that bought it. So you already knew all those stories.
Oh, yeah. We grew up with the Travis children. We Mr. Tudor's and children, and before them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were Mr. Tudor's wife and S.T. Benson that had the tourist courts before them. But Tourist's Court was like a honeydew inn type of a place. And that little building that was right there in the middle of his buildings, He had sundry type foods. He sold beer, illegal whiskey.
Yeah.
I remember pickled pig feet that would be in there. And I don't know who the lady is you were speaking to.
Your sister's here.
Yeah. She made it. Phyllis or Gwen?
Yes, it's your sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, we couldn't go over there. No, Mama had a
Yeah.
double-out shotgun ready at the door.
Really? Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, we weren't allowed to go across that rock fence, and the people that frequent the place weren't allowed to cross it if they wanted to get back over.
Okay. Yeah.
That was kind of like the place that it was.
Well, Edith, tell the backstory of this y'all's old home, why you want to preserve it, why, if you've got county commissioners, mayors here that may not see historic value there, why should they care about this? Why should folks that are listening care about this, the old Mel Malone home?
Because it's one of the, it is steeped in history from the time of and prior to the Civil War. It's one of the last freedmen's communities
Okay.
that is still intact. And what do I mean by that? You have to understand how a people like us, and Phyllis and I are third generation from slavery, how people like us has been able to prosper coming from that type of a background. If we don't do anything but tell the story of some of the most impoverished people who were probably slated not to make it because of the mental anguish and the cruelties that had been bestowed upon them, but them to have generations of very successful people, for one thing, it gives hope to those that look back and think that things now are hopeless.
Yeah.
One of the reasons, well, quite a few reasons why. When the 110th and the 111th Colored Divisions of the Union Army helped to win the Battle of Stones River, okay?
Yes.
And most of those guys, like our great-grandfather Sanders Malone, he did not go back to Dothan, Alabama, where he had come from. He settled there. They had, as our grandfather used to tell, and we used to hear the stories from our sister Nancy, that they fought for that, where they fit for that land, and they were going to stay on that land. For people coming from that type of a background, where they had been enslaved for hundreds of years, to within 20 years of their freedom, actually owned 85% of all that land.
Well,
and I have the and we have the maps to show where all the people live down in the Cedars. And the Malones, especially Sanders Malones, was one of the leaders to galvanize that community, which is one of the historical things. The other thing is, right after the Civil War in the 1870s, about 5 years after the war was over, there was a school that was built to educate the newly freed slaves called the Tennessee Manual Labor University.
Now, that's the building that still stands across the street there.
Well, the building that still stands across the street is a replacement on top of a replacement on top of a replacement of the original school.
Okay, where Bo Washington lived.
Yeah, right. And that history there is that school was rebuilt behind the Methodist Church.
Yeah.
And between the land of three different black home owners. You had Sam Malone, who was Mel's brother, who owned the land that went right behind the Methodist Church. Then you had Miss Bertha Washington's land, which was Elaine Washington's aunt and a relative. And then you had Miss Baby Mentor and the Mentor's land, which was on the back side of the school.
Okay.
The original school, which I have a picture of it, which was another wooden school, okay, that was built after the other one kept getting burned down. And that's a story I'll tell not on the radio, but I tell what used to happen when our school would get burned down. But it was burned down because of people not wanting us to not only have our freedom, but to be educated. And we were the people of that community that had fought in the war and had lived on that land was determined that we were going to be educated, and no one was going to stop us from it.
So you're saying the school, I mean, you may not want to talk about it on the air, but I guess I'm talking about it. You said people purposely burned down the school.
Yes, right. Over and over again.
What
yes.
You remember what years that was?
It had to be before the 1890s.
Oh, okay.
Because our grandmother, Phyllis, you remember this, our grandmother Nora was one of the first black school teachers in Rutherford County.
Really?
So we chose our own teachers.
What were their names?
She was Nora Trimble.
Trimble? Okay.
Trimble.
Y'all remember? Yeah.
Yes. We remember her. We were young. She died, I think, a year after my father died. When did Daddy die? 1958.
58, Phyllis.
Because I was born in 53.
Okay.
Well, she was only about 4 or 5.
Okay.
But and Grandmama died around the same time. But yeah, we remember her because she used to set us down in front of her and teach us our alphabet and how to pronounce our words correctly and how to spell. I remember that. And then she would give us what was that candy? Lemon drop candy. Hard lemon drop candy.
Okay.
That's how I remember my grandmother.
Yeah.
Well, Edith, you shared the story of the churches being burned down with me yesterday on our phone call, and I wanted you to talk a little bit about what Mel Malone did despite that happening, with him putting all the pieces to the church on the wagon.
Right. It was not only him, it was Mr. Harlan and a lot of the other men that still lived in the Cedars.
Mm-hmm.
And our own federal government, okay, decided we're going to take your land, and if you don't get off of it in a certain limit of time, we're going to burn you out.
Mm-hmm.
So they had already, rather than having Ebenezer to be burned out, history tells us from our oral history that Papa and other men who were deacons of Ebenezer Primitive Baptist Church in the 1930s actually assembled the whole church and put it on wagons and made pulleys and rolled the church in pieces.
Yeah.
To where it sits to this day.
Because it was over by the battlefield, by the entrance, correct?
It was over by the battlefield, right.
So they rolled it on logs, right?
They rolled it on logs and pulled it on wagons. They sure did.
Well, Edith, real quick, Frank Caperton's passed. I remember Frank, bless his heart, he was out there with that sling blade trying to mow that whole area out there. And,
right, Frank was my angel.
Shout out to Kelly Butler, who came out, a buddy of mine, and brought about $1,500 worth of equipment, and we mowed it down, cut it down with all that. I mean, we were knocking that quick when he brought all the equipment, but it meant a lot to Frank, meant a lot to Dr. George Smith, and because if you're going to find a property like this, I mean, I was telling Terica, how old are you, Terica?
24.
24. I'm 57. I mean, I think that we'll look back and people her age will appreciate your efforts. You may not see this come to fruition, but like Cannonsburg, people had saved the bridge. It was what we called the Monkey Woman Bridge off 1 Mile Lane.
Right.
And they saved that. And I know you want to save this structure, and it's, I'm not trying to be negative, but it's going to be a Herculean effort to do it, to save. But you got to get that survey done. So where are you at with the survey when they put the survey through your middle of your property?
Right. Well, we know that was an erroneous survey that was done. I have talked to people at the Secretary of State's office about what we can do about that guy, Mr. Sexton, I think was one of the guy that did the survey. He used an erroneous deed that had a scripto error on it.
Yeah.
And I have a copy of that deed that have that error on it that was done back in 46 or whatever.
Okay.
The problem is the guy that he and I have come to terms that he's not going to do anything to the house, anything until we can get it straightened out.
Yeah, he's willing to work with you. You're talking about the guy that bought the old Travis Courts.
Right, because he has not lost any land. He still has all of his land. How we know that it was an error, because there's a 1910 census that we have in our possession that anyone can pull that shows Papa on lot number 16 in 1910. All right?
Yeah.
My mother was born in September of 1918. And Papa always told us he had just a little shack with him and his wife and the boys in it. When our mother was born in 1918, that's when he bought, which we do have a clear deed on that, that's when he bought lot number 15.
To the left.
And he did,
to the left.
Okay, if I'm standing, it would be to the right.
Okay.
Right next to the vacant lot.
Okay.
Where the Benevolent Lodge used to be. 15 is to the right. 16 is next door to the Travis Court.
Okay. Well, I've put you in touch with the Black Caucus leaders, and I mean, where are you at with that? I mean, discussions, are they willing to help you?
Have not gone anywhere. Right.
Yeah, bless your heart.
No, well, what we're going to have to do is there's a historical society in Memphis. I have talked to the previous mayor of Murfreesboro and several. Now that COVID, I've had to have some major surgery, and then COVID hit during the same time in 2019. So I've been hiding out, getting myself and my strength back.
Yeah.
But what we need to do is the lobby right there in Murfreesboro. That land isn't going anywhere. The Malones is going to still own their land.
Yeah.
The Washingtons are still going to own their land. As a matter of fact, our cousins actually own the school, which we want to make into our museum.
Yeah. I mean, that's from my perspective as a representative, that's going to be the easiest thing because the deed is what's got your stuff all clouded. And that's going to take time.
Well, not really, because if you look at if you look at the state records from Mr. Mitchell and Demosi that's downtown,
okay,
we still have our acreage, and no one out of
you got the land, but technically you don't have the house because the survey's through the middle of the property, the house.
Right, but that's erroneous.
Okay, it is.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, in this time frame, as we talk now, for me to try to lobby the state and others to say, hey, here's some history right here.
We've got to get that part straightened out. And like I was saying, my sister Nora, before she passed, she's been gone 2 years now. All of that happened during COVID. I had to have surgery.
Yes,
a lot
ma'am.
of stuff was going on. My sister Nancy, who got all of this started. This all started about 20, 30 years ago when she was alive, when she was a patient of Dr. Smith and was telling him about the rich history of our family and cemetery.
Yeah, you're talking about Dr. George Smith.
George Smith. That's how all of this got started.
Okay.
With him helping her run our history down, and then my daughter's done the rest of it.
Yes.
So, yes, we've got to get that straightened out. But in the meantime, we can be lobbying people that want to make sure that this stays an historical site.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because we're never going to sell. None of us that still own our land there is going to sell anything. So that's going to be correct. The other thing that it legitimates us is that we in 2021 we won the Tennessee State Merit Award for preserving our family history, from the plantations in Alabama to the plantations in Murfreesboro to present day. We know our total lineage from all of those places. And we won a Historical Merit Award, and you don't get those awards if they don't check you out for the validity of the information. So that legitimates us.
Yeah, well, let me go back to your dad, your grandfather. So this is why I think there's value there, because somebody had made the comment to me. I'm not going to say who it was. He was one of our local leaders, and they didn't think there was historic value there. But see, I know my lineage. My mom's from Scotland, born at the bottom of Edinburgh Castle. Her mom was from Italy. My dad's from Oklahoma. I know my history, and y'all know your history. But if you're going back for Black history, there's not really much you can find as far as tangible, homes and that sort of thing. So, I mean, there may be some other building out there somewhere, but something out there on Old Nashville Highway, it's pretty rare.
Storehouse? Mr. Dave Mason's storehouse is still there.
Which one is that?
Well, he was a guy that was the Mentor's uncle. He's part of the Mentor's family.
Okay.
A lot of our land that was owned, people left cemetery, did not know they had heritage in cemetery, and a lot of it got taken up by tax sales.
Yes, ma'am.
Like
yep.
Sam's land right across from me.
Right in front of Whedon's Ebenezer Church. I remember that being a tax sale.
Well, that land was taken by the government. That was our aunts and our first cousins' land.
Really?
But the government bought it.
Yeah.
That, where those 3 cannonballs are?
Oh, you're talking in front of Mike Lyle's place?
Right there at the rock quarry.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Across the street.
All of that, right. All of that was our aunt and our cousin.
Oh, was it really? Okay. Now, you said was it your grandfather, so he was like over the burial in that area, is that right?
Right.
Well, tell that story.
Well, as Phyllis, as you remember, he dug the graves for everybody.
Yeah, right.
Your grandfather, right? Okay.
Right, Mel Malone. Mel Malone was
Okay.
kind of like one of the community leaders.
And you're saying Mel Malone his father was a slave?
Right.
At one
That
time, was the
Sandy Malone.
ex-slave. Okay. All right. And he built that home with his bare hands.
Yes, off of the land. He made his own concrete. Those arches are actually wagon wheels.
They're what? Oh, he put them wagon wheels as the structure to set it.
Right. That's what made the arches.
Oh yeah, I was just over there. I was doing a Facebook Live, and Terica, she's the tech guru. The audio, if you're on my Facebook, you see it, but you don't hear no audio. And I highlight those concrete arches.
Right. Well, those he made those, and where he got the idea from them, I don't know. But those 3 arches are made out of wagon wheel rims.
Wow. Now, where were y'all? How many bedrooms were in that place?
Oh, my mama packed, 50 of us in there at a time?
Oh, wow.
How many kids were in there? How many?
Well, it was 6 of us. It's 12 of us children.
There was 12.
And,
wow.
6 boys and 6 girls. Phyllis is the baby girl, and my brother Michael was the baby boy.
Is Michael still alive?
No, he's passed.
He's
There's only
passed.
3 of us still left. That's
Okay.
Phyllis, Gwendolyn, and myself.
Okay.
But all the girls stayed in the room. If you're standing across the street looking at where the cedar tree is.
Yes, ma'am. That's a big old cedar tree.
Right. All the girls stayed in the front room. The boys and Papa stayed in the back room. And Mama stayed in the living room.
Really?
Pretty much. Yeah. And then at one time we had a little back porch on the house.
Little back porch. When did y'all get running water? Do you remember that?
We always had running water, but it was connected through the tourist court for a long time. And then I think, Phyllis, you may remember, I pulled those papers from the waterworks department. When they finally brought water down our road in front of the house, Mama sold or bargained or bartered to give so much frontage to the water company if they ran the water.
Yeah, easement. Okay.
Easement,
A lot of rock out there, you know.
Huh?
There's a lot of rock out there.
It's a lot of rock, if they ran the water straight to the house. So that was, I think, when I was in high school, or right before I went to high school.
So y'all own back to the railroad tracks, right?
No.
Oh, who has it at the railroad tracks?
Well, Mr. The Howell Hugels used to. I don't know who owns it now. I think our cousin Belinda owns part of it.
Okay.
But there was houses back there, and there was also a club that was back there.
Behind y'all? Mm-hmm. Well, where's the club that Casey Clark, Casey Clark used to talk about? Is it Troubadour Club? What was that?
No, we had the El Dorado.
El Dorado. That was over towards yesteryear in Asbury.
That was over by Mr. Dave Mason's place, in the Mentor's place.
Yeah.
On the Asbury Lane. Now, yesteryear was named after the new owners made that into a souvenir shop.
Yeah.
That used to be Mr. White's Sundry.
Okay. Well, hey,
right.
We got about 9 minutes left. Terica's eager to hear about your ghost stories. Go ahead, Terica. Ask her.
Well, yeah, so we talked yesterday a little bit about your ghost stories and experience in the cemetery community area. One that stood out to me, and I'll let you tell the bulk of the story, but one that stood out to me was when you were walking home from school and the lady in the Civil War dress.
Yeah, that's a true story. I saw it. Saw her several times.
Yeah, if you could just tell the viewers a little bit about what you saw, because I thought it was notable.
Well, that whole area, because of the trauma of the war, you could hear old people talk about things happening all the time. But this lady, I walked home from school several times, and she would be right there at the rock fence, right there at the Methodist church, holding her head. Fish, you remember me telling this story years ago?
Oh, yeah, I remember the stories, but I never witnessed any of that.
Oh, you didn't?
No, nobody but me.
Oh.
You're a little insane.
And you said you witnessed it multiple times.
Well, I saw it a couple of times, yeah. But my Aunt Cindy, who was born right at the cusp of the war, right before the war ended, she told us my mother's story when she heard about it, that when she was small, a young girl, that there was a lady, I don't know if she was enslaved or what, but she had been the mistress of one of the farm owners. And the man's wife wanted to get rid of her. And that's what happened. She had her, some of her people to take her down there to that rock fence that's right there at the church. Yeah. And they chopped her head off.
Wow.
And that was a story that my great aunt Cindy said. But she also embellished that, and I don't have no proof of knowing it, that it started turning dark when that woman's head was cut off and she was flopping around and going on. And eventually the lady that ordered her to be killed herself, committed suicide. How she committed suicide, I don't know. That's the reason why, now that we're talking about this, maybe we can find out who owned the Mentor's land before they got it, because we know it was all, majority owned in that area. And then we could probably really find out who was there. May not, naturally can't find out anybody that's still living that knows about it, but we could probably narrow it down to who that family was that did that. But according to our Aunt Cindy, that's a true story.
Well, what about the? You said something about some babies. You'd hear a child crying in the woods.
No, I did. My brothers, my oldest brother used to talk when we would talk about different things happening. Our older brother dated some girls that lived over on the Asbury Lane, and they said at dusk nights when they would be trying to walk home from their dates, that you could hear crying and like babies crying and stuff. But a lot of trauma happened in that area.
Yeah, oh, definitely. What, 34,000 people were perished in the Civil War within a 2 mile radius of that battlefield?
My grandfather told everyone that his father told him, who was Sanders Malone, that the Stones River actually ran blood.
Wow.
For 3 days and 3 nights.
Wow.
It was so much blood in that in the Stones River in that area.
You don't remember Mike?
So,
You knew Mike Lyles, didn't you, Edith? Do you ever know Mike Lyles? Mike's since passed, and he owns the home to the left of the battlefield, which is going toward Thompson Lane, and I used to kid him about being haunted. He said he's seen a ghost out of his place on a couple of occasions.
Well, I can't remember who it was in our family one time. I think it was Nancy, Phyllis, that was going up to Mr. Ed White's store and saw a young girl dancing on the top of across the street from Mr. Ed White's store. Is that big fence around those houses where the people that work for the government used to live, the big rock fence that borders the graveyard?
I remember that.
You remember that? Yeah.
I remember that.
I actually saw her dancing on the top of that fence. So, if you are a believer and you believe that there's Holy Spirits and if you read the story of Saul and all that kind of stuff, you know that energy is never destroyed. And when you're traumatized, and a whole area it was traumatized the way cemetery and the surrounding areas was, you might be able to do anything. You ever heard of shadow people?
Yeah, I've heard the term.
Yeah. Right. I've seen shadow people before. When I was in Georgia, and that's the first time I ever heard of the thing, I would hit my brakes thinking somebody was coming across the road from me. And then I found out that the Battle of Kennesaw Mountain was one of the worst battles of the Civil War. And so there could be, traumatized spirits still not knowing what happened to them.
Yeah. Well, if there's a place in Tennessee that'd be haunted, it would be that whole area over there, no doubt, And I always, because I was kidding with you years ago about if you've seen anything, you were telling me about that story. Well, what if, because you're getting a little older, I'm getting a little older, what do you want younger people, if you're gone tomorrow, this recording is going to exist, what would you want to tell the next generation why this matters in the next 2 minutes? Go ahead and tell them why.
You don't have a reason to make excuses. When you look at your ancestors on all sides, the Irish,
because y'all part Indian too, correct?
We are.
Do you know how much?
Probably about 1/4. We have found. We have been contacted, Phyllis. I think I've told you about this. My mother died when she was 4. And she had 5 aunts. And Phyllis, you remember what their names were that used to take care of her?
No.
Nancy May. You remember?
Nancy May, Nimmy Louise.
Nancy May, Sally, Nimmy, and Louise. I'm so glad you're there, Phyllis.
Yeah, good job.
And my mother always told me that she was going to name her children after them. And they were half Indian women that lived up the road a little bit off of Las Casas. We got a call from a lady wanting to know who was Nimmy, because we've been putting all of our history on Ancestry. Come to find out, Nimmy, Phyllis, and I think I may have mentioned this, is Chuck Norris's great-grandmother. And she was my mother's
Chuck Norris?
Yes.
The Chuck Norris?
The Chuck Norris.
Really?
And we've tried to contact him, and if you notice on his shows, he's always doing this Indian stuff.
Wow. Won't you see if we can get him to call in one night?
Yeah, Nimmy. So, but getting back to the original question you asked me, when I do motivational speeches and I tell people about my history and how we pick cotton, my mother never took welfare.
Yes, ma'am.
She didn't want people coming in the house telling her what she had to do.
Well, Edith, we've got a few seconds left. I want to tell you thank you for calling in. Thank you, Terica Black. Thank you, Phyllis. And we'll talk about this some more, folks. We're out of time. Thank you. Conversation Mike Sparks. We'll talk at you next week.